Hello and welcome to this guide for World of Warcraft Legion, where I'll go through a couple of things I've learned throughout playing the expansion that are practical and useful to know that I wish I knew before I started playing, as they would have helped me out greatly, and I think they'll help you out as well. So first of all, we're going to go through a couple of practical things like buffs and items that you can find that make things or life easier for you, some life hacks, and then I'll go through basically some meta stuff at the end, talking about some advice in general about leveling, quest orders, and stuff like that at the end. So first of all, there are lots of stuff in Suramar, a high-level zone that you might have been to if you are max level. The questing here involves a lot of sneaking around with a disguise, and there are lots of things that can help you out here. Once you start unlocking these characters that come to this area known as Shalaran, you're able to get buffs from these guys by trading in ancient mana. As you can see here, this cap will raise depending on how far you progressed through the storyline of Suramar. From these characters here, you can get some nice buffs. From Thalrissa here, you can get the Ward of the First Arcanist for 50 ancient mana. This is very, very nice. I don't think I have it on me right now. Let's go and buy this thing. And this one gives you this buff, which gives you the ability, if you die, you instead create a arcane barrier, restoring your health, granting immunity. This one might be very common knowledge, but there are more buffs here, I swear. You can also get one from Valtrois, and also another one from Oculus over here. Oculus will give you the warp walking, I believe. It basically increases your movement speed if you kill something, which is very nice. And these buffs, by the way, also work for the quest for the Withered training missions. The buff from Valtra is the Leyline Mastery, which attracts the power of ancient ley lines, causing Leyline Rift to appear during combat. Okay, so these are the common buffs that you might know of already, but there are a couple of more that you want to get here that might benefit you. These buffs here, they are limited to Suramar, so you can only use them here, and they last for about an hour. Another buff you can get is from these Nightborn wretches scattered all over this area here, down near the bazaar and the marketplace, in the southern edges of Suramar. You can talk to these Nightborn wretches, and basically you can trade in 5 ancient mana for a simple buff up here. This lasts for 30 minutes, and it stacks up to 5 stacks. As you can see here, maximum health is increased by 10% per buff. So if you talk to more of these wretches, as you can see, there is one over here. We can trade in 5 more, and then you have 2 stacks, which gives you 20% health. So you can get a lot more health.
Something's not quite right.
Yes,
Something's not quite right. An illusion.
One thing you want to make sure you don't do, though, is that you don't want to talk to these guys while on a mount. If you do, it'll simply say you are mounted, and it won't give you a buff at all. Now, one thing to note about this buff is that it lasts for 30 minutes, and it's applicable for all the zones, not like the other ones that only lasts in Suramar. This one you can use throughout the entire expansion. So if you want to buff up your tank a bit, go into a dungeon, I think this will last you there. Not sure if it's removed if you enter a dungeon, but it's very nice to have regardless. And lastly, there is another buff you can get from an NPC that generally spawns a couple of places around in Suramar. I haven't seen him today, but he can spawn right here. It has at the coordinates 47.571.9. This is like north of the bazaar area, and this buff will give you a chance to trigger a pyroblast, a fire attack type of thing, and his name is FLAMEWEAVER OVIN. I'll leave a link to the Wowhead description of that NPC there. You can see some more info about him. That buff will only last for 15 minutes, and it costs about 25 ancient mana. Now let's talk about some other buffs that are useful for you. First of all, you can get some very nice boons, as they're referred to in Legion. The boons are shoulder enchants that gives you a chance to get some nice drops from enemies if you kill them. There's a percentage chance to get a bag of nice stuff. There are currently 7 of these boons in the game. First of all, we have the boon of the Gem Finder, which is given to you if you are revered with the Court of Ferondis. It has a chance to drop various types of gems. They can be both uncommon, like green ones, and rare ones, like the blue ones. Next off, we have the boon of the Harvester. It gives you various herbs, a chance to get a Fellwort, which is very nice. This one is given to you if you are honored with the Dream Weavers. The gem thing requires you to be revered with the Court of Verandis. This one is only for honored with the Dreamweaver. It's very simple to get this, the boon of the Harvester. The next one is called the Boon of the Butcher. Gives you nice meat and leather, scales, stuff like that from mobs. It has a chance to also drop a fell hide, and it requires you to be honored with the High Mountain Tribe. The next is Boon of the Mana Seeker, which is the one I'm currently using on my character, I believe. It gives you these chances to get the Mana Tinged Pack, which gives you a chance to get Ancient Mana, Arcana, which is the dust you used for enchanting, Leyline Shards, Chaos Crystals. You can get some potions as well, and these sell for quite a bit, and you can also get some flasks. This requires you to be honored with the Nightfallen. Next off, we have Boon of the Salvager. Gives you a pack of salvaged armor, which can include a couple of ores, between 10 and 30 ores, 10 and 50 laystone ores as well. You can also get a chance to get rare and uncommon armor, or you can get some Grave Vendor trash. You can get this by being revered with the Valajar in Stormheim. The next boon is the Boon of the Blood Hunter. It has a chance to grant you Blood of Sargeras. It requires you to be revered with the Wardens down at the Isle of the Wardens. If you're curious about where that is, then that is down here. Isle of the Watchers, as it's called. The final boon is called Enchant Shoulder, Boon of the Scavenger. Not to be confused with the Salvager. The Scavenger gives you a chance to get Shaldorai Silk, the cloth, to drop from enemies. Simple enchant only requires 2 Leylight Shards to get that one. You can get it off the auction house or ask an enchanter to get it. That was the boons. We are going to have another chat about some very nice enchants and profession items that you should probably bring along with you. First of all, we have the glove enchantments. These glove enchantments reduces the time it takes for you to gather things. So we have the herbalism, mining, skinning, and surveying. Surveying being for archaeology. The other ones are in the name. And these basically reduces the time it takes for you to gather stuff. They only cost 1 Leylight Shard, very, very cheap to make, and they can be fitted to be enchanted on gloves. So you can either make a pair of gloves you can bring with you and equip them every time you're going to gather, or you can just buy several of these and apply them to your newly gotten gear. Speaking of professions, there are tons of these very nice items that you can use for the different professions. Blacksmiths can create these laystone hoof plates that basically increases your mount speed by about 20%. That you can use on your mount. This will stop working if you get the Pathfinder achievement for Legion, which you will get when you are basically the lore master and you have the reputations gotten to its full completion. You've done a lot of world quests, stuff like that. They can also craft Demon Steel Stirrups, which lets you interact while mounted. So very similar to how the Sky Golem mount works for herbalism, or how the stables worked in Legion, where you can simply pick up and gather mining ores, skin, you can loot herbs, for example, without dismounting, which is very useful if you're going to go around and gather stuff. In the line of these mount buffs, we can also get a nice item from leatherworking. The Stonehide Leather Barding prevents mounted players from being dazed in the Broken Isles, and it lasts 4 times as long for leatherworkers. So it's basically a very nice item if you don't want to be dazed, for example, running through here in Suramar. Very useful to have this item. Now, those advices were some really boring ones. They basically give you boons and benefits by doing profession stuff and going around collecting buffs. This next tip is a very practical one. As you have seen throughout playing the game in Stormheim, you will get this launcher here, the Stormforged Grapple Launcher, which you might have been carrying around with you. Now, throughout the quests, you learn how to use this thing. You click on the little hook there up on the different tops of rooftops and walls and stuff like this, and you traverse the world like this. However, you don't really need this item in your inventory, so just throw it away if you want to. And as you can see, oh, this wolf is getting to me. And as you can see, it still works. You don't have to carry this thing around with you. It simply works. But one more thing, as you can see, you have to wait a bit for this thing to activate. You have to wait for the cast time to go, the hook to shoot out. And a lot of people have been just double-clicking on the hook to shoot yourself down faster. But there is an even simpler way to do this. You just wait for the cast time to finish and then press escape immediately to shoot yourself off before the grappling hook can even hit the hook. Let's see here. There you go. Oh, we almost got there before the hook hit. Very nice. So that's a very practical tip you can use while questing in Stormheim. Also some grappling points on the rooftops in Suramar. You can use this trick there as well. Now that we have covered all of that, I think I'll go into talking a little bit about how I approach leveling in Legion. So first of all, there are a couple of tricks here I would recommend that you do. I will make a more thorough guide on how to do all the zones and how I approach them more thoroughly. And when I'm done with that guide, I'll leave a link to that in the description below. If there is no link there, then I haven't done it yet, so then you need to shout at me in the comments below. But anyway, there is a really nice way of approaching different zones. I usually start in Val'sharah. Val'sharah is very easy. It's a quick zone, the main storyline anyway, and you can finish that one in about an hour or something like that. And at the end, you will get a few benefits. First of all, you want to note one thing about the leveling zones. They scale to your level, that is old news, but they don't scale with your item level. So the higher your item level is, the easier the zone will be. And since Val'sharah is so short, you will get a really nice piece of armor pretty quickly, which is actually item level 800. As you can see here, I'm wearing this Shaladrasil tunic. I believe this is the reward for the monk if you finish off Val'sharah. And you can get this already at level 101. You want to aim to be at least level 101 when you're done with Val'sharah. This will give you benefits against enemies. You can kill them quicker, stuff like that, which is super nice. And also you will get the second appearance for your artifact, because you have a piece of the Pillars of Creation, which is the Tears of Elune. When you're done with Val'sharah, you'll be approximately level 101. As I said, you can return to your order hall, and when you are there, you'll be able to recruit your first 2 followers. Now, for some classes, those followers will be bodyguards, which you can use. They can come with you on missions, which will make leveling easier. So you want to make sure you do that before you go out to the next zone. That's why Val'sharah is super nice compared to starting in High Mountain or Azuna or in Stormheim, where you probably be maybe 102 when you're done with those zones, or 103 even, depending on how thorough you are. So I recommend that you do Val'sharah first. Next, you want to head to either one of the larger zones, High Mountain or Stormheim. The reason is that you'll probably get more experience in those two than Azuna. You want to aim to be at least level 102. You can go back to your class order hall then if you want to change your artifact. The artifacts, for different specs that you didn't pick the first time, will unlock at 102. If you don't want to return for those artifacts, keep questing until you are about level 103, because then you will unlock the rest of your followers in your class hall. And at 103, you'll also start your class campaign for your class, which is nice, and you get some benefits from doing that. You can also start doing these long-term missions that will take you a while to complete. They'll be these mandatory follower missions that you need to send your champions out to. So you want to start those early on, and that's why you want to go to either High Mountain or Stormheim after Val'sharah. I usually go to High Mountain because I think the zone is better laid out than Stormheim. That's just personal preference. Now, when you're done with High Mountain again, or Stormheim, you want to go to Azuna and level up a bit there. Finish off in the last zone, either one of them will do. And when you're done, you should be about level 110. The most important thing about leveling in Legion, though, is to make sure you're at least friendly with each of the different factions. When you reach 110, you want to go up here and talk to Mr. Khadgar, and you want to do the quest which takes you to Suramar and get the Suramar rep to with a Nightfall. I haven't done that on this character yet, as you can see. Oh yeah, I have Nightfall. What am I saying? Get that to friendly ASAP so you can unlock world quests. When you're at 110, the class campaign for the Order Hall will also continue, so you'll be in good shape once you've done that, basically. Most important thing, though, when you reach 110 is to start your research for the artifact, so you can get more artifact power from the items you find around the world, and from world quests and follower missions and all that good stuff. Now we've covered some of the buffs you can get, we covered some neat stuff you can do for gathering and stuff, and we've also covered a very practical tip for questing. This last one, that I wish I knew, was, as you can see there, something popped up to show me this icon up there next to the icon for the Paladin class. Turns out the artifacts you have, they do have ranks or levels, however you want to refer to this, which are displayed up here in the leftmost corner of your screen. So I realized this when my friend asked me, what rank is your artifact? And I didn't see this icon because it was hidden all the way up in the corner. So I didn't really understand. I tried to count all the points I've spent, and then I figured out my level. Just look over here. I'm currently at rank 9 out of 34 on my alt here. And the more points you've invested in your artifact, the more levels or ranks the artifact will be. And the more expensive each new point will be as well. You can freely spend your artifact points up until the artifact reaches level 14. That's where I would stop, because then the prices for the next point will be so severe that you don't really have time to invest in a lot more artifacts if you want to progress one. So you can try out your different artifacts, invest many points in them until you are about rank 14, and then you can try out the main one you felt you enjoyed the most, which is useful. And I wish I knew that before worrying about spending my artifact points pre-launch and during the leveling process. So I hope you enjoyed this little guide here about some tips that I wish I knew before I started leveling in Legion. If you did know these things, then you're an expert. Good job. And if you didn't know these things, then I hope I helped you out a bit. I've been Krulus. Make sure you check out the playlist at the end of the video for more Legion stuff, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I do make a lot of videos for this game and other games as well. So see you next time for more fun stuff. Bye.